You're moving to Claremont, the city of trees and PhDs. I'm John Baldwin with John Hart Real Estate, and I wanted to give you a brief overview of what living in the city of Claremont can be like and what you can expect moving to Claremont. Let's get into it. So I pulled up the very first page of Google Maps and kind of want to give you a general kind of outline of the geography, get you into a little bit of the history, and then we can talk about what's going on in Claremont. So Claremont is kind of the last city in LA County. As you go out the 210 or the 10 freeway, it basically is, yeah, right there before you hit San Bernardino County. And it basically grew up around these major universities, the Claremont colleges. You've got Pomona College, Pitzer College, Scripps, Harvey Mudd, Claremont Graduate, Claremont McKenna, and the School of Theology. I may be missing one. I know Drucker School is in there, but it's one of those things. This is such an amazing little city that you have this core downtown historic area that they refer to as the Village, where you have all these restaurants, shops, things like that. And then the rest of the city is a mixture of houses. You got a couple areas with a little bit of commercial, but for the most part, it's a bedroom community. Then you have the core downtown area with the restaurants and shops and the historic homes. But as you can see on the map here, we've got the 210 freeway basically dividing North Claremont from South Claremont. And, then as you can see here, right here, this Route 66, that is historic. Route 66 runs right through the center of town as well. That used to be the way people got kind of, from LA out to places like Rancho Cucamonga before the 210 went in. But that is also Foothill Boulevard. And this is why they're all called the Foothill communities, because they're in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. But also you have the Foothill Boulevard, which runs along the foothills of the mountains there. So, the great thing about Claremont, I love Claremont, is it's a city built around education, and not just the universities. You have outstanding K through 12 public education. I have a lot of families that have moved into Claremont specifically to get their kids into the Claremont School District because the API scores, the test scores, Claremont has some of the best test scores until you get to areas with a significantly higher price point like San Marino, Arcadia, or La Cañada Flint Ridge. And so if you're not going to be getting into that super premium real estate, Claremont is a fantastic option. And I mean, just it's a great city. I loved living there. And it's just, what can I say? I still have family that lives out there as well. So, as I said, I'm a big fan of Claremont. Let's read the description here. Claremont is a suburban city on the eastern edge of Los Angeles County, California, United States, 30 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. It is in the Pomona Valley at the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. As of the 2010 census, it had a population of 34,926, and in 2019, the estimated population was 36,266, according to Wikipedia. So that's some basics, but as you can see here, you got the DoubleTree Hotel, which is right on Route 66 here. Then you got Hotel Casa 425, which is a very nice little boutique hotel right in the core downtown area, and so that's a neat little spot. But you've also it's just a really great community. Let's see what I pulled up here. This is the first page of Google Images, and you got the Verbal Building. And there's pizza and such. You got a lot of really cool older established restaurants that have been there forever. You've got some cool the folk music centers there as well. You've got all these neat little quirky shops that have been around forever. They're really cool. And then you have a mixture of some newer stuff as well. But I can't say enough. Claremont is sort of like a East Coast little town that was dropped into Southern California. So it has a little bit of that sort of East Coast little small town vibe, but you get the weather of Southern California. You're 45 minutes from everything. You want to go skiing? Mount Baldy's up the hill. You want to go, to Hollywood? 45 to an hour drive into Hollywood. You want to go downtown LA? Same thing. 45 to an hour drive downtown. You want to go down to Orange County? 45 minutes to an hour to get down to Orange County. It is. I used to literally say it's 45 minutes from everything. You want to get to the beach? If traffic cooperates, 45 minutes. If it doesn't cooperate, hour, hour and a half. So it's one of those things that, because of where it is, it has just convenience to everything. You want to get out to the desert, go out to Joshua Tree, you're right there. You want to get up to Vegas, it's a quick drive over to the 15 and then up the 15 to Vegas. So it is such a great location in Southern California, and I just can't say enough good things. I had my office in downtown Claremont for nearly a decade, right at the corner of First Street and Harvard. I was at a tiny little boutique firm that no longer exists, and so this is where I learned real estate. I know this city like the back of my hand. I could walk through houses that I was in a decade ago just because of just my memory of that house and how many times I was in it, things like that. And still to this day, like one of my absolute favorite houses that I've ever sold, and I've sold it 3 times, is on Butte Street in Claremont. I love this little house. It's a mid-century modern, and so I love that Claremont has such a unique mix of historic craftsman homes, old Spanish homes that are authentic and just super cool. Really amazing mid-century modern. My aunt and uncle live in a mid-century modern rectilinear overlooking the Wilderness Park in North Claremont, and so their backyard is literally the Golden Hills of California, the giant Wilderness Park. And they get a breeze coming through about 4 o'clock every day. And so this is just, it is such a special little city. It is an easy city to sell as a realtor because outstanding schools, the police department is responsive to its citizens and they actually care. They're right there. What is that on Bonita? Same thing with the fire department. They're right there on Bonita. Easy to get them to come and help you out if you have an issue, and they respond quickly. That's one of the great things about smaller towns is that the city services are more responsive to their citizens, and it's just such a great community. I pulled up Wikipedia as well. We'll just do a really brief look at this, but there's a lot here about the kind of history of the city, and how it was developed. I mean, all the cute little neighborhoods. In my old office right in downtown Claremont, I had a entire wall, floor to ceiling, basically, that was an overhead shot of Claremont from 1978. This was prior to the 210 going in, and this was prior to a lot of the development that happened in North Claremont. So North Claremont has a lot of 70s and later construction north of the 210 freeway. But if you looked at this old 1978 aerial photo, you could see that much of the city of Claremont was still citrus groves. So the citrus industry was still very big. In downtown Claremont to this day, there is a building called the Packing House where it used to be where they would pack the citrus to be shipped off and go, shipped out to the rest of the country. And now it's been chopped up into all sorts of little shops and some lofts and some artist stuff. And it's really cool. Some really cool restaurants in there as well. So the Packing House is a really neat thing. Another great thing is because of that history of citrus and whatever, the railroad came right through Claremont. So Claremont is actually, they have a stop on the Metrolink. So if you didn't want to drive into the city, you could get on the Metrolink, the rail system, and ride the train into the city. So that is another great option for people who don't want to be, in traffic on the freeway, would rather just sit there, ride the train in, and do that kind of thing. So that is super convenient. And here you can see it's referred to as the city of trees and PhDs, like I said in my tagline at the front end. Was named the best suburb in the West by Sunset Magazine in 2016. A small city that blends worldly sophistication with small town appeal. I think that's a really good way to put it because you get the greater, like everything you get in metropolitan Los Angeles, but you get the small East Coast style downtown area, that feel. You get the sophistication of having 7 top shelf universities, and then you get just neighbors that are interesting and you can talk to. And demographically, the city is a complete mix of everything. So you're not like in a homogenous city. You're in a really cool mix, like a legitimate melting pot city of just amazing people. And everybody I've brought to that city who hadn't considered it before, ends up loving it and just loves living there because it is such a great little city. And as you can see here, it's a beautiful city. Got a lot of historic buildings. Um, and there's just a lot there. What can I say? Claremont is a really cool little spot. Here is, if you see this photo here, this is the wilderness park that I mentioned, and there's like a 6 mile loop. You can go hiking up into the hills. A lot of people do that. Just very cool. What is that? That's Los Angeles County, just a big generic photo of Los Angeles County there. But the climate has a Mediterranean climate. It is nice and warm. You really could probably get away with not running your air conditioning except for probably like late July, August, and September. But for most of the year, you're going to be in that pleasant, like low 80s, and it's just going to be super nice. Yeah, so yeah, 70s and 80s is what you can see here for the most part. And then you got July, August, and September as your three, red months, if you will. Demographics, yeah, you had a big mix of everybody. But yeah, and then arts and culture, yeah, having seven major universities. Actually, you have a lot of, like, my old office, the little boutique firm I used to work at, is now an art gallery. So that gives you an idea. So you have a really cool little mix of things in Claremont. Um, there's the Paleontology Museum at the Webb School, which is really cool. The Webb School is a private boarding school, which is students from all over the world coming there. So you've got the Claremont public schools, you've got the private schools, of the private schools, you got Foothill Country Day, which is K through 8, and then you have the Webb School, which is a private high school. And there's also a Christian school, the Claremont United Methodist Church, I think. Or there is a Christian school in Claremont, I forget the name of right now. Um, but it's just the Folk Music Center is super cool. And there's just so much in the city of Claremont, like this classic little city hall. My old office was a block south of City Hall, so I was there all the time looking for permits, trying to figure out, hey, how does this property line up, things like that. And then here we are into the public and private schools, post-secondary education, things like that. But yeah, what can I say? I think Claremont is a fantastic city. Definitely worth considering looking into it. Here's the Metrolink station. This is a really cool architectural building right here. All right, and then we get into the notable people. Ben Harper, yeah, he actually, his family runs the Folk Music Center. His brother Joel actually runs it. Really nice guy. But yeah, they're one of the local celebrity families for Claremont. But then let's look at what does TripAdvisor pull up, and this is just something I pulled up. I thought it'd be interesting. Yeah, you got the Botanical Gardens, very cool. The Wilderness Park, Paleontology Museum, Folk Music Center. So everything I've already mentioned. And so yeah, lots of stuff like that. Claremont Heritage. In the summer, they will frequently do like musical events in the park right near this Claremont Heritage site. Very cool. Claremont Craft Ales is a brewery that opened, I think, about a decade ago now, and they're going strong, and people really like their stuff. And then there is a farmers market that happens. I think if not weekly, it's monthly, right on Second Street. So again, Claremont is such an amazing little city. I definitely recommend it, especially if you, have, want to have neighbors who are interesting, or if you have children that you want to get into a good school district. This is another great place. The other part of this city that I think is frequently overlooked is it has several retirement communities. You have Pilgrim Place, you have Claremont Manor, and these are for, assisted living or kind of, older 55 plus senior living kind of environments, and depending on whether you go into like Claremont Manor or Pilgrim Place, and I'm forgetting, I think there's another one, that these are all fantastic. So a lot of people will come to Claremont to retire as well into these bigger communities, and so you have a lot of really interesting people. Like the Pilgrim Place is literally for retired missionaries and nuns and people who have led fairly interesting lives. And so you get this again. Claremont is such a unique little mix of academics and every other profession you can think of, and then you add to this mix this unique retiree set, and you just have this fantastic little city. I can't recommend it enough. So give me a call, 213-973-3777, and let's get your house sold.